What is the most bullshit profession that actually exists? Televangelists. Biggest scammers in the world. But don't worry, just slap the name Jesus or God, and it's legit. God spoke to me and said I need a brand new G800, because it has a longer range than my 2-year-old G650 so I can reach more people with the message of God. So please open up your checkbooks and donate that $72 million I need to get it. I remember seeing an interview with 2 televangelists talking about why they needed their private jets. They literally said they travel so much to spread the word of God, and can't be expected to sit with the heathens and demons and coach. Basically the people who give them money. Anyone who sells MLM garbage. No, I don't want to buy your average, at best, makeup. Hey Queens. Did you know that you can make $5 billion from home every month by simply joining my team and selling this amazing product? All you have to do is add lots of people on Facebook that you have 1 or 2 mutual friends with, or message people you haven't talked to in at least 5 years, saying, "Hey fatty. You're looking ugly as F since high school. How you been, girl? Do you want to buy my wraps, or my pills, you effing skank? Message me for more info, gross bitch. Ho 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 ho." I love Image, 3, pink Mercedes, and I took my family of 38 people to Cancun not once, not twice, but 13 times this past week alone. I also literally cured myself of 8 different kinds of cancer. This could be you. Buy a starter kit at no cost to you, except $500. Anyone who says they have an investing strategy 100% makes money from selling this bullshit, and couldn't make money investing in a million years. Promotional speaker. Let me tell you how I became successful, charging you $10,000 to speak, how I get $10,000. Feels like that book titled, How I Made $290,000 Selling Books, that was for sale on Amazon for $290,000. Pet communicator. Yes, we have these in my country, and there's this famous internet joke. Communicator, your pet wants to be pet more often. Owner, he is a fish. Edit, I'm surprised that lots of places actually have this. And many people are buying it, instead of doing their homework. There was a pet psychic show on TV, that I assume got greenlit on the heels of Whoever, that a whole guy was that used cold reading to talk to dead people. It was really stupid. I remember the lady telling a dog's owner, he says he wants you to give him more French fries, and the owner started freaking out like, OMG OMG, how did you know? He loves French fries. Life coaches, especially the ones in their 20s. Listen. You don't know shit about shit. And if your coach title doesn't start with a sport in front of it, you're a fraud. I have a friend who does this. He was just bouncing between dead-end jobs, until he went to a coaching seminar. Now he has 8 to 10 insecure 20-somethings paying him $2,000 a month for gym schedules, recipes, and girl advice. On one hand, get your money dude. On the other, it's all basic shit they could get from a Google search. They don't need to give you $2,000 a month to tell them to shop at H&M, and do 10 pull-ups. It feels predatory. Edit, this got a lot of attention, so I feel like I should add more context. His clients are mostly young nerdy guys, who graduated and immediately got 6-figure tech jobs. No one's skipping rent to pay him. He also pays people for secretary work, social media, and marketing, and he doesn't always have a full roster, so he's not taking home the full amount every month. I think he takes home $70,000 a year all said and done. Good money, but not quite as lucrative as people are imagining. I believe the seminar he attended was like $8,000 for a weekend, where they teach you the whole business, and then for 99% of people who attend it never works out. It took him multiple years to get all this working to a point where he could do it full time. The part that doesn't sit well with me is the way he advertises and the quality of content he provides. The marketing is very heavy on the confidence/game side of things, targeting insecurity. You feel ugly, and overlooked, and you're short, and out of shape. Everyone doubts you and girls don't pay attention to you. F all that. Join my team and we can change things. Just really leaning into young men's insecurity. The program itself is really basic. The cooking is like fried rice that you'd find on all recipes. The workouts are very entry level, and only require a pull-up bar. He does it all remotely. The core of the advice is stuff you could find in AskReddit. How do I look/be more attractive? Threads. I can appreciate the personal touch and the accountability he provides as a coach. I trust that he's a genuine cheerleader for them, but it's hard for me to value it at $2,000 a month. It doesn't work for him because it's really good, it works because he's very attractive, in great shape, and these guys think they'll look just like him in a few months. I can't help but feel most of these guys are going to look back on his coaching, after getting a few more years of life experience and feel like they got scammed, because they were young, inexperienced, and lonely. I ain't knocking the guys for wanting it, and I'm not knocking him for selling it, but it doesn't feel right. Ticket broker and console broker, aka ticket scalper and console scalper, add no value to the transaction, just needlessly insert themselves to profit. F 'em. Whatever the person, who's in charge of making the malware and annoying redirect ads, is called. Edit, my bad, thought in charge is written as in charge. Edit 2, should have mentioned this earlier, but if you're suffering from this, get the Unblock Origin browser extension. It's the best thing that could have possibly been made for a browser. The jerk off at insurance companies, who gets to choose if a medical procedure is covered. Yeah, like the one who decided, my C-section was not considered necessary. Once worked at a company, where they had social media officers, whose jobs were to go through Instagram, and like and comment on photos of hot people. They earned more than I did, no idea how. There is more to it than that. If you have a big company with a big social presence, it can take a whole day. They may also be the ones doing the planning and content creation as well. It's super effective in getting people engaged with your brand, and selling products. I hated doing it, as part of my job, and could never do it, as a standalone job. NYC apartment brokers. I hate having a middleman. The only way it would make sense to me, is if they were there to negotiate on my behalf, but instead they are incentivized to do the very opposite. I once heard about an apartment opening in NYC, from a friend of mine, in the building, so I called the landlord and she said, "This is when it's available, this is the rent, oh and there's a broker's fee, and I'm the broker." Such a scam, but I paid it, because you have to, in NY. The entire health insurance industry. Health insurance companies in the US, have exactly two motivations. 1. Extract as much money as possible, while you are healthy. 2. Hope you die as quickly as possible, once you are sick. Psychic. Any kind, especially those who prey on people, mourning the dead, and convincing them they are speaking. At the Edinburgh Zoo, the penguins will track the planes as they pass overhead and fall in their backs. They employ someone to write the penguins when this happens. That sounds like an important job. Nobody wants to see EFI pingos. Landlords. Edit, to everyone saying that landlords exist because people shouldn't or can't own the property, here's some reasons as to why I believe you are wrong. 1. People can't afford to buy it, maybe not in lump sum, but payment plans exist for a reason. Instead of paying $2,300 a month in rent, just for the privilege of living there, you could be paying the same amount for the right to live on that property. 2. The landlords need to make money to feed their families, yeah, so do I. However, the landlord gets paid for owning the land, not actually for any kind of labor or service. The only service being provided is a basic human right, the right to shelter. My sister used a camp consultant to find a summer camp for her kid. I'm still in shock that that is a real job, and that my sister hired one. Phone/text/email solicitations for anything. If I wanted to buy something or sell you my house, I would contact you. F off. All the people that help you buy a house, title guy that shows up late and just stamps things after you sign, the mortgage guy that is always behind and forgets things, forcing you to sign at 10 p.m. the night before it's due, one of the 70 inspectors that charge $1,000, have no stakes in this, and miss everything, the other title guy that calls you back later, etc. I had the opposite outcome. Our realtor saw the trees in the front yard and suggested we pay the extra $250 for a sewer line inspection. He found that the line under the house had rusted out, and it cost about $5,000 to replace. We threatened to walk away, when the owner bucked, and since he had an offer on another house he grumbled, but ultimately paid. Saved us $4,750 in repairs, down the road. TV ad sales. Far overpaid, it's more of an exclusive club. Ad buyers too, just funneling corporate money into executive suites, box offices, etc. I have a relative that makes airtime purchases from time to time. Completely an intermediary. and makes bank on every transaction. Pretty nice gig. Chiropractors. It's all BS. Thank you. Chiropractic was literally invented by a guy who said he restored a deaf man's hearing by popping his back. He also said that he discovered the practice because a ghost told him about it. I'll admit that I gave it a try. Went to a chiro for a year because I was desperate to fix my lower back pain. Went in with an open mind. Dude told me he could cure the common cold and practiced on little infants. Needless to say, my back pain only got worse over time. Stopped wasting my money on that BS, and went to an actual physical therapist, and am now doing better. Lobbyist. My former employer did a lot of lobbying. Environmental law and regulations heavily impact our industry. Our lobbyists consulted with various members of Congress to advise them which environmental laws need to be tightened, because it's not 1990 anymore, which laws need to be created and which aspects of environmental law make no sense whatsoever. Members of Congress can't be expected to be policy experts on everything. They can't possibly know the ramifications of passing or repealing laws. There's a great chance that they have no idea how laws can be improved for the benefit of all. I can understand how 5 or 6 lobbies have shat in the pool for everyone else. But the overwhelming majority of lobbyists actually benefit you and future generations in ways you can't possibly fathom. The bad does not even remotely begin to outweigh the good. Being an influencer. I would like to get influenced by people who are awesome at art, music, poetry, or some genuine talent, not by people hungry for attention, doing fake reviews or being a nuisance to the public in public. It's just a more modern form of marketing, isn't it? Just changing with technology, in this case, how people take and share information via social media platforms. Marketing has been around long before we were born, and will be around long after we're gone. Ethicist. Most professional ethicists I've seen are unusually hypocritical, are generally hired to provide cover for corporations doing unethical things, pretend they're independent neutral actors, while actually having massive conflicts of interest, and relentlessly promote the interests of their own identity group, while claiming to preach non-bias. Most professional ethicists teach philosophy classes. They're like Sheedy from The Good Place. People who serve on ethics boards generally aren't trained in ethics. They're trained in industry standards and practices. They learn how to apply those standards, not how to think about whether those standards are right. The standards are inevitably created to meet the interests of rich people already in the industry. They're mostly designed to limit competition and legitimize existing immorality. Professional ethicists have lots of problems, but shelling for corporations and being embroiled in conflicts of interest aren't among them. Pharma sales rep. Did it for 15 years. At that time, we had rigorous scientific/sales training, and physicians viewed us as being valuable resources for product information. Made 6 figures, 30 years ago, and the company was constantly showering us high-end gifts and trips to meetings at 5-star resorts. Today's reps do little more than recite company-generated scripts and dropping samples. The objective is to make sure they get their prescribed number of calls entered into their computer, without putting in too much effort. CEO. I've been at the same corporate job for 16 years, and have seen half a dozen CEOs run the company. One was hired for the sole purpose of selling the company to a bigger competitor. When the SEC blocked the sale, he jumped ship in a golden parachute. $60 million bonus for not doing what he was hired to do. The late anthropologist David Graeber wrote a book about bullshit professions, called, bullshit jobs. He put them into 5 categories. Flunkies, who serve to make their superiors feel important, receptionists, administrative assistants, store greeters, doormen. Goons, who act to harm or deceive others, on behalf of their employer, or to prevent other goons from doing so, lobbyists, corporate lawyers, telemarketers and PR specialists. Duct tapers, who temporarily fix problems that could be fixed permanently. Programmers that fix shit code that should be rewritten, but for some reason hasn't. Airline baggage clerks that try and assuage angry passengers that their luggage hasn't arrived. Box tickers, whose jobs are mostly looking like they're doing important work, but in reality isn't. In-house magazine journalists, survey admins, corporate compliance officers. Taskmasters, people who create jobs for people who don't need them, middle managers, leadership professionals. In most cases, project managers. Exceptions for the ones that actually have experience doing the work they manage. How anyone thought it was a good idea to have people that have no understanding of the work done manage a project, just because they have some bullshit cert, is beyond me. Even worse, they're often actively harmful. They have no frame of reference for the work being performed, outside of what they were told, in that cert. So, they're more or less incapable of understanding why they're doing what they're doing and just blindly follow the rituals. Then a lot of them insert themselves in the middle of technical conversations between engineers and management, so that it becomes a game of telephone, except everybody is using a different analogy, instead of parroting what they hear. Recruiters. People want jobs. Jobs want people. If hiring managers would just get their heads out of their asses, this profession would not be necessary. I'm not necessarily talking about a recruiter for a specific company, more the third-party companies that take a variety of people and pass their info onto a variety of companies. Most middlemen professions are pretty redundant, but this one is in particular. Critics, especially music critics, also movie and food critics. Most people spend money to buy music, see movies, and eat at restaurants, and can just go online and share their experiences and opinions about any of those things, and not get paid for any of it. Critics get paid to go do things that people usually pay to go do, and they act like experts in fields they actually have no skills or talents in themselves. I'd rather hear about a new album or restaurant via word of mouth, by regular people, than some pretentious critic. I worked for a company that did contract engineering business for the government. There was a guy that was an expert on an out-of-date system that the government kept going for some unknown reason, and as part of our contract, we needed to have services available on demand to provide support. So this older dude just sat in an office all day and read a newspaper or took naps. This was in 2015, not 1990. So I'd say babysitting critically outdated systems is a bullshit profession. Side note, updating aging technology is as critical as updating roads and bridges. The trouble is, you can't see all of the ways your day is just barely getting by, depending on a system that is 20 or more years out of date. Paid protester. Occupy Wall Street did this in the early 2010. If you have to pay people to pretend to support your cause sucks. I was tempted to join them and go around telling everyone, I'm a Republican and I'm just here to get paid. I'd be the worst man for the worst job, and they probably still wouldn't fire me.